Have you ever written something, read it back, and just thought, ugh, that sounds a little off, maybe a bit clunky, or you feel like you're repeating yourself? Well, today we are going to fix one of the biggest reasons that happens. We're talking about subject and object pronouns. Trust me, once you get this down, your writing is going to sound so much smoother.
Okay, so take a look at this sentence. Catherine saw Ahmad, and Catherine said hello to Ahmad. Just listen to that. Catherine, Ahmad. Catherine, Ahmad. It's just so repetitive, right? It doesn't sound like how a real person would talk. But don't worry, there's a really simple fix. And that fix, that better way, is all about using personal pronouns. These are the tiny little secret weapons of the English language that make our sentences flow so much better.
So what are these secret weapons anyway? Let's get right into it.
A personal pronoun is basically just a shortcut. It's a word you use to stand in for someone's name, so you don't have to keep saying it over and over. But, and this is the important part, there are two main types we need to know about: subject pronouns and object pronouns. Let's start with the first piece of the puzzle, the subject. Every time you look at a sentence, you need to ask yourself a simple question. Who or what is this whole thing about? And that's exactly what subject pronouns do. Words like I, he, she, or they replace the name of that main character. They point directly to who or what the sentence is focusing on. So, let's go back to our example. The whole first part of the sentence is about Catherine. She's the one doing the seeing and the saying, so Catherine is the subject. That means we can just swap out her name for the subject pronoun she. Easy, right?
And look at that. She saw Ahmad and she said hello to Ahmad. That is already so much better. Just one little change and the flow has improved a ton. But we can still make it even cleaner. We're not quite done.
Now it's time for the second part of our fix. We've got to deal with the other person in the sentence, the one who's on the receiving end of the action. This is the object. And to replace the object, you guessed it, we need object pronouns. These are words like me, her, him, and them. You use these for the person or thing that is being acted upon.
So, how do you know when to use one? Well, here's a huge clue. They almost always show up right after a verb. You know, an action word.
Check this out. The verb, the action, is rewarded. So who is rewarded? Mona was. Mona is the object, so we just swap her name for the object pronoun her. The teacher rewarded her. See how that fits perfectly? But wait, there's one more major clue to look for. Object pronouns also love to hang out right after a special kind of word called a preposition.
Now, don't let the word preposition scare you. They're just these little connecting words you use all the time. Words like with, to, for, from. They show relationships. If you see one of these, you're almost certainly going to need an object pronoun after it.
Let's take a look. Mike went with Ahmad. There it is. With is our preposition. So the object here is Ahmad. We just swap his name for the object pronoun him. Mike went with him. So much cleaner. Okay, so we know about subjects and objects. We know the rules. Are you ready? Let's go back to our original clunky sentence and put everything together for the big reveal.
And here it is. Look at that transformation. We went from that clunky before sentence to the super smooth after version. She saw him and she said hello to him. We replaced the subject Catherine with she and the object Ahmad with him. It's clear, it's concise, and it just sounds, well, right.
Now, to make this all stick, I'm going to give you the ultimate cheat sheet so you'll never get these mixed up again.
This is it. So simple, right? On the left, you've got your subject pronouns. On the right, they're object partners. So I becomes me, he becomes him, she becomes her. You get the idea. This little chart is your best friend.
All right, we've gone through all the grammar rules, but let's just zoom out for a second. Why does this tiny little detail actually matter so much? Why go from awkward to awesome?
Because this is about more than just grammar. It's about clear communication. When you use the right pronouns, your writing instantly sounds more confident. It goes from feeling a little clunky and amateur to being clear, smooth, and honestly, way more professional. It just shows that you know what you're doing.
And that's really the secret. It's just about picking the right tool for the right job. Subject for the subject, object for the object. So, now that you've got this unlocked, what's the next confusing grammar rule you want us to tackle together?